10 News begins with breaking news.
It's been 36 days since a little girl was found dead inside her mother's car in the sweltering heat. Tonight, police have arrested Priscilla Harris on multiple charges. This is Harris from a previous arrest.
She told investigators last month her daughter must have crawled into the car while she was taking a nap. 10 News reporter Cassie Carlisle is outside the Las Colinas jail where Harris is tonight. Cassie, investigators are not buying her story.
They told me that they have conducted a very intense investigation, including interviews, everything building up evidence for a case. They say that they just want to bring justice to baby Scarlett.
A gut-wrenching crime scene on August 5th in a military neighborhood in Tierra Santa. 20-month-old Scarlett found dead in her mother's car. The temp near 91 degrees. The mom, Priscilla Harris, told police she woke up from a nap and couldn't find her daughter, later discovering her in the car. Neighbors say she's a military mom who had 2 children. 2 days later, Harris's cousin and cousin's boyfriend reportedly overdosing at the same home, taken to the hospital. A month and a half later, police have arrested Priscilla. This is her mugshot from a previous arrest. She's been booked on charges of child endangerment, inflicting great bodily injury or death of a child, and personal infliction likely to produce bodily injury or death.
And she was booked here around 8 p.m. Her bail has been set for $1 million, and she will be arraigned on Monday. Reporting in Santee, Cassie Carlisle, 10 News.
Cassie, thank you. 10 News has been digging into the criminal past of Priscilla Harris. She was arrested in Arizona for assault with intent to cause injury, disorderly conduct, and damaging property. She pleaded guilty to all 3 charges in August of 2016. 10 News sent out word of the arrest tonight through the 10 News mobile app. You can download it for free in the App Store.
A woman trying to flee from Border Patrol agents crashed on the 905, leading to a rush hour nightmare. Tonight we learned she had a child in the back seat. 10 News reporter Anthony Pura has more on what led up to the chase.
The 905 is back open tonight after that wreck shut down the westbound lanes for nearly 2 hours. Now the pursuit started a few miles from here after a driver sideswiped an SUV belonging to Customs and Border Protection. A wrecked Nissan Versa at the center of a crash that bottlenecked traffic on the 905 westbound lanes in the midst of rush hour. Customs and Border Protection was chasing down the car.
The pursuit only lasted about 5 minutes.
CBP says the pursuit started at Otay Lakes and La Media Roads. The driver, a woman in her 30s, hit the side of a CBP SUV stopped at the intersection.
Immediately after the Border Patrol agent was sideswiped, the Nissan Versa went around the agent and 2 other vehicles and took off and fled the scene. The agents followed pursuit shortly after for a public safety reason.
The chase ended after she sideswiped a semi-truck.
As the agent got onto the scene and approached the Nissan Versa, the agent noticed that there was a child inside the vehicle.
The child was taken to a nearby hospital, the driver detained. Investigators combed through the Nissan. What looks like a medicine container and cell phone was placed on top of the car. But investigators haven't said if they found anything to explain why the driver took off and created havoc on the freeway.
Luckily, it came to a stop before any other injuries could occur.
In Otay Mesa, Anthony Pura, 10 News.
60 seconds. That's how long it took a man to get out of his car, run into a Poway synagogue, shoot and kill a woman, hurt 3 others, and run off after his gun jammed. That video played in court today as John Earnest appeared on his state charges. 10 News anchor Lindsay Pena takes us through the video and the testimony from one of the Good Samaritans who jumped into action.
A camera pointed towards the entrance of the Chabad of Poway shows the shooter running up from the street and towards the doors. It's hard to make out, but shots are being fired even before he enters. Video from inside showing Lori Kay at the front desk. We've frozen the video just before she's hit. She would later die from her injuries. You can then see the shooter continuing to fire as Rabbi Yisrael Goldstein runs past. He was also hit, suffering an injury to his hand. Yet another camera from inside the synagogue shows worshipers running and ducking for cover, among them Oscar Stewart.
They were trying to get out. Most of them were running towards the exit doors on the side. The sanctuary has numerous doors, and they were running towards there. People were falling over each other. People were, it looked like there was chaos.
Stewart, an Army veteran, described the moment he decided to confront the shooter.
I'd say I took maybe 3 or 4 steps, and I turned around and I went the other way. I went back towards the gunfire. I saw the defendant fire 2 rounds. I saw the muzzle flashes from the rifle.
At some point, the gun appears to jam. You can see the shooter run from the building with Stewart close behind.
I told him I was going to kill him.
And why did you say that?
I was trying to throw him off. So I yelled. I didn't say it very politely. I yelled it, and I used profanities also. And I screamed it out really loud, and I kept screaming at him.
Lindsay Pena, 10 News.
After Ernest ran from the scene, police say he called 911 and confessed to what he had just done.
Yeah, I just shot up the synagogue. I'm in my car right now.
Are you the suspect? You said that you what?
I just shot up the synagogue. I'm defending my country. I'm in my car.
Ernest showed no emotion or remorse while listening to the call. It's a chilling conversation that was transcribed on screen for everyone in the courtroom to see.
That the Jewish people are destroying the white race. They have been for a long time and no one's doing anything about it. Something has to be done.
Right after the prosecution played video of the shooting in court, Ernest turned and made a hand gesture toward the victims' families. His preliminary hearing will continue tomorrow.
Oh, tough day in court. Also in court today, the prosecutors showed pictures of what investigators found inside Ernest's car after that 911 call. And that included the gun, tactical helmet, and magazines. They say investigators also found cleaning and nursing supplies. When they laid the weapon out for evidence, they counted a total of 5 magazines each with 10 rounds.
For the first time today, we saw the hunting license, which investigators say John Ernest used to buy the gun used in this attack. It confirms what 10 News first reported, that the license was not valid until July 1st of this year, 2 months after the attack. We looked into how it was not flagged during the purchase. The state told us it's up to individual gun stores to verify licenses. San Diego Guns, where the rifle was bought, insists it did everything right in this transaction.
And gunmaker Colt will stop making AR-15 rifles for the consumer market. Colt's chief executive officer says it's not permanently ending production. He says there are just too many AR-15s on the market to justify making more. Colt will still manufacture other guns, including pistols and revolvers. The company says it's in good shape financially, thanks to its military and law enforcement contracts. Colt also says it remains committed to the Second Amendment. You can find coverage of today's hearing on 10news.com and keep up with the latest developments as the Ernest trial returns to court again tomorrow.
Federal agents say they disrupted a major drug ring in San Diego run by the infamous Sinaloa cartel. The DEA showed off some of the drugs and weapons seized today as 85 people linked to the cartel were charged in federal court. 47 of the defendants were arrested today, and some could face up to life in prison.
San Diego County has been saturated with methamphetamine that is manufactured in super labs down in Mexico by the Mexican cartels.
This drug network was rooted in the South and East counties, including areas like El Cajon and Chula Vista. Last year, the DEA seized more than $3 million worth of meth in San Diego County, and agents say in the last 6 months alone, they've seized over $1 million worth.
An incredible bust there. And new at 11 o'clock, bed bugs and rodents. It's what residents tell 10 News they're living with inside an independent living facility in El Cajon. 10 News reporter Matt Boone reveals the man who runs it is the same person charged last week with health and safety violations at a different property.
Inside this home on Ewing Street in the College area, investigators found squalid conditions, including bed bugs, rodent feces, and broken gas pipes. The operator, Mark Rogers, was charged last week with 22 counts ranging from elder abuse, theft, and operating the facility without a proper business certificate. He was also ordered by the judge to close it down, as well as any others operating in the city of San Diego. That news was concerning to this woman, who didn't want us to show her face or use her real name.
The only reason why I put up with it is because I don't have nowhere else to go.
She says Rogers is also her landlord at this group home in El Cajon. She tells 10 News she has reported issues to him regarding bugs and rodents, but has been left to fend for herself.
I mean, I have to spray constantly with bed bug spray so I don't get bit and cockroaches.
She moved in last April after having been homeless and living in her van. She thought life would get better.
I'd rather be on the street, I'm telling you, than live like this.
Rogers told 10 News he tries to, quote, exercise due diligence whenever there's an issue to get things resolved. But he didn't answer any specific questions about his operations, referring us to his lawyer. We emailed the lawyer, but did not hear back. As for the resident, she says she's now in limbo, unsure what will happen next, but empowered to speak out.
I just want him to realize that he can't treat people like this. He can't.
Reporting in El Cajon, Matt Boone, 10 News.